Welcome into Sports Memo's Betting Podcast NFL Opening Line Report each and every Monday throughout the NFL season with our guest, Teddy Covers. Teddy, welcome in. Happy Monday morning to you.
Hey, happy Monday, Drew. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Maybe not as good as you, though. Sweep yesterday, 80% last 3 days, 71% December NFL, man. You're hot, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, look, full disclosure, I had the Eagles yesterday, okay? And they were not a right side. They got there. I'll take it. And it's important to, I had a couple of half-point winners in college hoops on Saturday. They did have a freaking half-point loser on a big play on the Nets on Saturday as well. But it's important to remember some of the lucky wins that you have because inevitably, you're going to take some tough beats. And yesterday, Philly, when they didn't cover for the first 60 minutes of regulation, but they got there with the clock at zeros, again, wrong side, right result. And I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week, Drew. The goal is to be both, okay? That is absolutely the goal. But if I have to choose, all right, let's see. I can choose a lucky cover or I can choose being right about the whole game and then losing my bet. I'll take the lucky cover any day of the week, dude. I'm sure my clients will as well.
I'm with you, man. I'll take the money each and every time, Teddy. Hey, we get the opening line report, and this week it is Saturday and Sunday action. We'll also take a look to next Monday night's game. But we do have a game tonight, and a lot of people do watch the show on Monday. So we got Indianapolis at New Orleans, seeing the Saints -9 in the Big Easy, 47.5 being the total. Any quick thoughts on tonight's Monday Nighter, Teddy?
I mean, honestly, of all the games in the card this week, this might be the one that I had the least opinion on. I don't have a feel for whether New Orleans is really going to be blowing teams out right now. And I know Indy's fought the good fight, but they are outmanned and they're coming off, what have they lost? 5 of their last 6. Their season is spoiled. I'm not convinced that the Colts are going to be capable of hanging. Total-wise, I could see, we've seen the Saints excel in low-scoring games, and certainly, the last week's game against the 49ers is one that Sean Payton doesn't want to repeat. That being said, the Saints are more than capable of, chucking the football around and playing in high-scoring games as well. So, side, total, I don't have a feel, and I'm not going to force something. Easy pass for me.
That's good stuff there on the Monday Nighter, Teddy. Let's start the opening line report here. We got 451, 452 Saturday. Important note here, Saturday, December 21st action in the NFL. LA Rams at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers laying 6 or 6.5 in Santa Clara. 46 being the prevailing total here, Teddy.
Now, a couple of things to note. As we do on every show, we do the opening line report. We talk about the look-ahead lines. These are from the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas. They're from last week. They're bettable lines on these games, so we like to see how much the 1 week's games adjusted the point spread. I'll also give you my power rating number. Now, just a heads up for next week's show, a lot of times they don't put out Week 17 look-ahead lines, so I may not have these next week. I think some book will have them.
Okay.
So I'll try to track them down for next week, but I can't promise that I'll have look-ahead lines for next week because Week 17 is a different animal. All that being said, we got Week 16 look-ahead lines, and the look-ahead line on this game last week was San Fran -6.5. My powering number is San Fran -7. The market's coming in the 6.5 range, and I'm not seeing any urgency here if you like the 49ers. I don't think this one gets to 7. San Fran's injury report is ugly. I mean, it's flat-out ugly. But, of course, the 49ers now are officially in must-win mode. They can still win the division. They have to win out. They had their mulligan yesterday against Atlanta. But this isn't the Niners game. The Niners game, I mean, they have to win this one. But next week against Seattle is the one that is likely to determine the division champ. The Rams had a pretty ugly game in Dallas. And that's putting it mildly. And certainly I wouldn't be surprised at all if the betting markets, and there was a ton of L.A. support yesterday, if the betting markets are crashing on the Rams again. They haven't gotten L.A. right all year. They really haven't. They've been bet on the Rams in the games where they lose, and they've been betting against the Rams in the games that they win. So 49ers injury report's ugly. Rams aren't going to get money this week. I'm taking a little bit of wise guy money. 6.5 feels like it's going to sit around this number for a little while right now. And again, I'm not getting this is going up to 7. I'm not getting that sense at all, especially with that ugly-looking injury report for the 49ers.
Teddy, we got Buffalo and New England up next, 453, 454 here, the middle game on Saturday. 38.5 being the total, seeing 6 or 6 in the hook, depending where you're shopping. That's the Pats laying at home.
Look-ahead line here was New England minus 6.5. My powering number is New England minus 6.5, and I think that's where this number is going to sit all week. For the Patriots win and cover yesterday, if you watch the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They looked like Cincinnati. I mean, there wasn't. You're watching the two teams. You're like, okay. And then in the second half, Dalton made a couple of bad throws, and New England was able to pour it on. And the Patriots I mean, no team in the NFL scored more on defense this year. No team's blocked more punts than New England has, or field goals. No team scored more on special teams than the Patriots this year. They've been masking the woes on offense, but the woes on offense are, don't be fooled by the 37 that they scored yesterday. Brady still looks dicey. And if you remember the first meeting, Buffalo gave them everything they could handle. The Patriots offense didn't work back then either. And the Bills now have gone on the road and won national TV game at Dallas on Thanksgiving, won a national TV game in Pittsburgh last night. Obviously, the two fourth quarter end zone interceptions were a huge factor in that ball game, but Bills have every bit as much of a betting bandwagon right now as the Patriots do. And I'm not convinced this one gets to 7. It might, but it was already at 7, and the wise guys have bet it down.
Teddy, we also got the early kick here on Saturday. Houston at Tampa Bay. We're seeing the Texans anywhere from minus 1.5 to minus 2.5. 52 the total here.
So we should probably doodly-oop this one because I think it's going to 3.
Doodly-oop? Doodly-oop?
Say it with some passion. Although there's one more that I thought, that I think you have to get today if you want it. This one could get to Texans minus 3. Look ahead was Houston minus 1. My power rating is Tampa minus 1. Although I don't know that I fully adjusted properly because the Bucs have lost Mike Evans and Chris Godwin the last 2 weeks. And that's the two guys that Winston's been throwing to all year. So maybe I haven't adjusted downward for those injuries enough. But I mean, Winston's great right now. He makes mistakes, but this guy's leading the NFL in passing, and the quotes coming out of that Bucs locker room are very positive. We're playing for purpose, we're playing with passion. I don't care, we're not making the playoffs, we're getting better every week. They're playing for Arians right now. They really are. Texans, I mean, the merciless 88-yard interception return yesterday, in my mind, was the key play of that game. And I understand it came in the first half. But instead of playing from behind, they were playing from ahead. That passing game is so scary when the receiving core is fully healthy, and Fuller was healthy yesterday. I can understand why the Texans have taken money, but all that being said, this one could get to 3 if you like Houston. Lock in now. Obviously, as you mentioned, the money's clearly coming in that direction.
Teddy, we got the Sunday slate here. 3 games on Saturday, and then the rest on Sunday outside of the Monday nighter here. Top of the board here, 457, 458. Detroit at Denver. Looks like 38 being the total, with the Broncos laying 6 in the hook at home.
Well, let's see. The look-ahead line was Denver 6.5. My powering number is Denver 6.5. The markets are at Denver 6.5. I'm not anticipating a significant line move on this game. So two things worth noting about from yesterday's action. Number one is that the Broncos, they got beat down in Kansas City. I didn't downgrade Denver off of that performance. The conditions were such that it didn't help them a whole lot. And, the rookie QB looked like a rookie QB, and Mahomes is just a monster. Chiefs are scary. So I didn't downgrade Denver off of that. It wasn't like, okay, they had some momentum and now they lost it and the Broncos are done. It's like, no, they just had a bad game in tough conditions. But Detroit is an interesting story here because the Lions were beat down again yesterday, and they came back and fought. And that's the first time I've seen a fight out of Detroit in recent weeks. And all the quotes talking about how they're not fighting for Patricia. They fought yesterday and made things interesting and had a chance. And, there was a late, 70-yard interception return touchdown that made all the difference. But Detroit showed character, and that means something in a game, where how many wins do the Broncos have? 5? Where a 5-win team's laying a touchdown. in December. Denver, not necessarily an easy team to lay with against an opponent who's still showing up if the Lions show up again this week, because, of course, it's a very different story playing at Ford Field versus playing in the mile-high altitude of Denver.
Teddy, 459-460 up next. Oakland at the L.A. Chargers. We got 47 the total. Chargers minus 5.5. Teddy, Oakland is the Raiders are done in Oakland. I guess we can call them our Las Vegas Raiders now going forward.
Yeah, let's wait till the stadium gets built, because there's a clause in the contract where they're allowed to go back one more year if the stadium isn't ready. And if you remember last year, Oakland did a victory lap after the final game of the final home game, thinking they weren't going to be back because they didn't have a deal for this year anywhere. And there was a question whether they were going to play in San Francisco or where they were going to play. There was talk they might play at the Thomas and Mack, or not the Sam Boyd Stadium,
really? Okay.
Which is not ready, could not host an NFL team. But there was talk, so I was like, I put them at Sam Boyd for a year. But in theory, that's supposed to be the Raiders' last home game ever.
Well,
they obviously
Teddy, the stadium looks like it could be ready, in a week or two. Driving down the street, it looks almost done, man.
The outside does.
Yeah.
And look, the construction projects in Vegas get completed on time. Mm-hmm. All right, because you never have the weather delays, and they can work 24 hours when they need to do it. And these, literally, like, I've never anywhere that I've ever lived have seen construction get done faster than it gets done in Vegas. And we do expect the stadium to be ready for the preseason next year. I was just saying that if for whatever reason it wasn't ready, I was reading some stuff last night saying, they could be back if the stadium's not ready. I think that might have been written by Oakland faithful.
I got that. Okay.
As opposed to realistically. Realistically, we expect the stadium to be ready, to the tune of, that'd be minus 10,000. But if it's not, they could play more games in Oakland. That said, emotional day yesterday, and the Raiders found it. Boy, if you've watched the last 2 minutes of that game and you had a Raiders money line ticket in your pocket, you couldn't be more frustrated.
Yeah,
it was a pretty frustrating loss. I don't want to talk about Jacksonville yet, but the point is that even a dead team can find life in a game where the other team leaves them a chance to find life. And the Jags were dead going into yesterday's, and Oakland gave them life. The Chargers turned the ball over 7 times yesterday. That's a lot of turnovers. And Minnesota's defense does that. Oakland's defense doesn't. Look ahead line here, LA minus 6.5. My powering number is LA minus 4. The market's, sitting at 5.5 right now, down from 6.5. I cannot anticipate we're going to see a groundswell of Chargers support this week. All right. Chargers are a team that had higher expectations and have, it hasn't gone well. So if I had to guess, I would say we could well see some more. We've already seen some Oakland money. We may well see some more. And again, the Raiders certainly haven't played good football down the stretch, but they're not bottom feeders. They haven't played like bottom feeders. And in my mind, this line can only go down. So if you like Oakland, I'd get on them sooner rather than later.
And Teddy, speaking of the Jaguars, they are up next, 461-462 here at the Atlanta Falcons. Looks like the Falcons minus 7 at home, 45.5 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, and let's talk. Conceptually, I have to talk about the Jags and the concept of dead teams. Because the Jags have been lifeless for 5 weeks, and they were lifeless early yesterday. And then what happened? The Raiders let them hang around. And within a game, a lifeless team, hey, we got a chance to win it. All right, let's go, guys. And that's what they did. 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. And Minshew was – not that Minshew was great. It certainly wasn't good for most of the game. But game on the line in the fourth quarter, players made play against the Tigers defense. And that's, for a dead team, they showed signs of life. And they got the win. That's really a positive sign. Look headline here was Atlanta minus 6.5. My powering number is Atlanta minus 7. If you think I'm laying a touchdown with the Falcons, you're nuts. I'm not going to lay a touchdown with the Falcons. There's still a couple of 7.5s out there. I don't know that they're going to be there for much longer, but there's already juice attached to that to those spreads. Falcons, they're capable. I don't know. Laying a touchdown with Atlanta, and again, it's been as soon as Dan Quinn's job's in jeopardy, the Falcons step up and play better. They have played better, but as a team to trust to lay a touchdown, no, not for this better anyway.
Teddy, next game up, we got New Orleans at Tennessee. Limited marketplace here with the Saints playing in Monday Night Football. But the lines we are seeing are 1 in the hook. That's the Saints laying in Nashville. 51 the total.
Yeah, look-ahead line here was 1.5. And if the Saints, they've already clinched the division. They're playing for home field. I'm not convinced this is going to be a Saints spot by any stretch of the imagination. If they win tonight, even if they look good tonight, Tennessee coming off a loss, they can get a mulligan for yesterday's loss if they win here and then win Week 17 at Houston, which they're capable of doing. Yesterday's game was obviously was a frustrating game for Tennessee. I didn't downgrade the Titans at all in my power rating. Tannehill finally threw a pick in the red zone. And they had, a couple of weird plays, a couple of fluky plays, but it wasn't anything that was like, all right, you have to sell Tennessee now. Like I said, my power rating here is Tennessee -1. And we'll see what New Orleans looks like tonight. But in terms of need to win, I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans are priced as a need-to-win team and the Saints not priced in that same category. Although if the Saints kill them tonight, the line could come 3, and no one would be surprised.
Teddy, next game up, 465-466. New York Giants at the Washington Redskins. We're seeing the Redskins mostly -2 in the hook here at home, 42.5 being the total.
Yeah, look ahead line, Washington -3. My powering number, Washington -3. The reports this morning are that Daniel Jones might get the start in Week 17 for the Week 16, I should say, instead of Eli. Eli obviously had a big day yesterday, and the roaring crowd support as he left the field, which is the exception rather than the rule in Giants games. Right. And expecting the Giants to have that kind of energy and emotion 2 weeks in a row is not something I'm willing to do, whether Daniel Jones plays in that game or not. And again, the Redskins did something yesterday. Again, I got this part of the handicap completely wrong. All right. I thought that Philly would be able to stop Washington on the ground, and Dwayne Haskins wasn't good enough to pass him down the field. And guess what? The Callahan's got that offensive line in a sense that they're running the football against everybody right now. And it's a situation for the Redskins where Haskins threw the ball really well yesterday. I was very impressed. And maybe it was, a divisional opponent and then he knows well, and he was coached up properly and he executed the game plan very effectively. And we're talking about a team that did all kinds of things right. Defensively, they're still dicey. But there was a lot to like about what Washington did in yesterday's ball game. Again, 2.5 here now, down from 2. The look-ahead line was 3. My powering number is 3. I don't know that I want Daniel Jones this week, and I don't know if I want Eli this week. So the Redskins are absolutely on my short list coming into on Monday morning.
Teddy, we got Pittsburgh Steelers up next at the New York Jets. Looks like 38.5 the total at MetLife. And this is a line mostly 3s. Yeah, it is pretty much 3 flat across the board. That's the Steelers laying on the road.
Let's get that emergency betting alert number out there. Doodly-oop, doodly-oop, doodly-oop.
There you go.
If you want the Jets +3, grab it now. It's not going to be there. And again, we saw Duck Hodges make throw interceptions last night, but it's a Pittsburgh Steelers offense that has scored 1 touchdown or less on offense in 6 of their last 7 games. And the other one they had 2 touchdowns on offense. So yeah, the defense is making plays and keeping them in games, and yeah, they still are facing a must-win, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think this 3 is going to be here. And the market indicators are telling me that the 3 may not well be there. So if you like the Jets plus, that's your key number that you want to grab right now. And, of course, Pittsburgh's going to be priced must win. The Steelers got to win, which they do. And the Jets obviously didn't play their best football after winning 4 out of 6 or 4 out of 5. They got stomped around. But in that game against the Ravens. But also, we talk about one team played Sunday night, the other team played Thursday. So from a situational standpoint, that certainly favors the Jets. And like I said, I don't think this 3 is necessarily going to hold. for New York. The markets are not high on Pittsburgh right now, and the offense continues to struggle.
Teddy, next game up, 469, 470. A game only a sports bettor could love. Cincinnati Bengals at the Miami Dolphins. We got the Dolphins favored. Yes, you heard that right. Miami Dolphins, mostly -1s. We're seeing South Point actually showing a -1 in the hook here. 46 the total in Miami Gardens, Teddy.
For what it's worth, the look-ahead line was Miami -3, and my powering number is Miami -2. So based on the look-ahead and based on my powering number, this is cheap.
All right.
With the Dolphins. Fitzpatrick, the Dolphins also have injury problems at receiver, big-time injury problems at wide receiver. Fitzpatrick made some mistakes. The Dolphins' defense forced some turnovers in that game. Eli threw picks, but Miami did not match the Giants' intensity yesterday. The Giants came to play. Miami didn't. Are they going to show up here? Probably. I mean, the Dolphins have had fun, through all of this. I know the Bengals are having a whole lot of fun right now. To hear the quotes coming from Zach Taylor where he kind of called out his receiving core, saying they got pushed, which they did. Everything he said was true about, they got out physical by the Patriots yesterday and that his team wasn't tough enough. But does that change here? They are who they are. And, of course, in terms of draft status, Bengals in line for the number 1. They don't necessarily need this or want this, although for the guys on the team, having the number 1 pick, is that what they want? They'd rather get a win more often than not. But anyhow, Miami's going to go off the favorite. I don't think it'll be a whole lot higher than the 1, even though the look-ahead line here was 3.
He's Teddy Covers, and he's hot right now at sportsmemo.com, sweeping the board yesterday. 80% last 3 days, 71% NFL in December. He's seeing it well over the short term. And remember those stats over the long term. 202 and 156. That's 56% in the NFL since 2015. That's the last 5 years running. 56% in NFL betting. Check him out at sportsmemo.com. Rest of his NFL season over $100 off with the coupon code NFL149. That's good for the next 4 days. Coupon code NFL149 takes more than $100 off of his NFL rest of the season at sportsmemo.com. Special coupon code for this podcast each and every Monday at sportsmemo.com. We got 471, 472 up next. Teddy, Carolina at Indianapolis. We got the Colts -6 in the hook at home, 46.5 the total, Teddy.
Yeah, and it's just worth noting with that coupon code, that's through everything through the Super Bowl, prop report included. You won't have to buy, you don't spend another penny on the NFL for the rest of the season. There's, no bait and switch, no nonsense with any of these offers. It's legit, $1.49 for the rest of the NFL through the Super Bowl. Carolina and Indy, we don't have a full market on this one yet. The look-ahead line, because the Colts play tonight, look-ahead line was -6.5. My pre-Monday Night Football line is Indy -7. So fairly close between the two. I'm not sure. Carolina's another team. They got punched in the mouth yesterday. They did a bunch of stuff wrong, and they fought right through the end, and I give them credit for that. Doing it on the highway this week may not be as easy. But the effort was there for a Panthers team, despite all the losing yesterday, and obviously a team that has had a lot of problems with turnovers. Kyle Allen was not good in yesterday's ball game. Again, look ahead with 6.5. My powering number is 7. I would expect, unless Indy wins the game tonight, for the number to come somewhere in that range.
Teddy, we got Baltimore and Cleveland up next. 49 the total, -10. We're seeing Baltimore laying doubles on the road.
Yeah, and again, look ahead line here was Ravens 7. My powering number after the game's being played was Ravens 8. There's a Baltimore tax right now and an anti-Cleveland tax, although, you have the Ravens in revenge. Remember, they got smacked around earlier this season by Cleveland, and that was a couple of defensive scores, if I remember correctly, from the Browns in that ballgame. I want to go back and check that box score. I remember watching it, and I remember Cleveland running away with it, but I don't remember exactly how it. I thought it was both sides of the ball, but they made up some plays on defense in that game. So the Ravens lost at home to the Browns earlier this season. They'll certainly remember that. Cleveland's no-show yesterday, and no-show is not the right word, because they just made the same mistakes they've been making all year. Mayfield struggling in the red zone. They ran the football, they threw the football. There was at times they they made the wrong mistakes at the wrong time, and I'm not convinced they're buying into Kitchens anymore. And we saw the flare up on the sidelines with Landry and Kitchens, and you can understand. And the books I've been getting buried with Ravens money every week. So even though look at here with 7 and my powering number is 8, I can understand why the markets are at 10 on this game. There's going to be one-way action towards Baltimore from the general betting public, and they're making sure that the books have been really beaten down on the Ravens, right? And again, I've got Baltimore as my number 1 team. I've got them, I think, 1.5 or 2 points better than anybody else. And my number here is still only 8. So you're really paying. We've gotten beaten by Baltimore repeatedly. Tax on the Ravens, and the market's nothing but Ravens money in the early betting action. Although at 10, I'm not convinced it goes higher.
Yeah, this is an interesting handicap, Teddy. We're seeing the Ravens in revenge, and you're right. They did lose 40-25 to Cleveland last weekend in September, and something to note: Lamar Jackson did throw 2 picks in that game. So, yeah, interesting. We got Dallas, Philadelphia up next. Of course, the NFC East crown at stake here. 47.5 being the total. Looks like -2.5. Cowboys laying in Philadelphia, Teddy.
Well, I don't think the division title. So if Dallas wins, they clinch. If Philly wins, they still have to win Week 17.
Okay.
To clinch. Because Dallas won the first meeting. They killed them in the first meeting. It was 37-10. Look at line here was Pick'em. My powering number is Pick'em. And the markets are, knee-jerking towards Dallas pretty strong right now. Of course, both teams won and covered yesterday. The Dallas looked good doing it, and Philly didn't. But I'm not going to. My powering number here is not great because the Eagles, their issues with the passing game are so enormous. They cannot stop the pass at all right now. And their cornerbacks were just, and again, you're not talking about a great, Dwayne Haskins picked them apart. They were wide open receivers. And again, the same type of missed tackles from Philly in the secondary that have led to, the quick slants turning into, 75-yard touchdowns. And that happened a couple times yesterday for Philadelphia. So their secondary is a mess. And obviously we know that their receiving core is about as big a mess as you can find. But from a character standpoint, the Eagles over the last 2 weeks have been punched and punched and punched and punched hard. And every time they punch back, I give them a ton of credit for that. The Redskins had them beat yesterday. They had them beat 3 different times. And every time Philly, all right, methodically, let's work our way down the field. I know I don't have a receiver, so let's find a tight end. Philly is overachieving to the talent level at hand right now. Dallas has not been the case. So, again, my powering numbers pick them, and it probably should be Dallas 1. I don't think I've adjusted right for Philly's injuries, but all the money today has come on the Cowboys, and at 3, I'll probably be a buyer on Philadelphia.
Teddy, heading to the out west here, 477, 478 afternoon kick here on Sunday. Arizona at Seattle. We're seeing the Seahawks -9 in the hook at home, 50.5 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, look ahead line here, Seattle -9.5. My powering number is Seattle -11, and that's one that's wrong. I need to downgrade Seattle more. After I looked at their injury report again this morning, they were missing 6 starters on defense in the second half of that game against Carolina. That's a big reason why the Panthers kept fighting, was that they were able to move the football against a defense that's just been wrecked with injuries in recent weeks. So, and some of these guys may play, some of them may not. I know like Ziggy Ansah got sick before the game and didn't suit up. There were a couple of unannounced injuries, but it's a Seahawks defense that was nowhere near 100% yesterday. And it's definitely an injury report worth monitoring throughout the course of the week. Arizona did what I wanted them to do yesterday, which is score and give up points. We had a big ticket on that over for the Cardinals, and that was the right side. They did cash with room to spare in the game against Cleveland. And there are things to like about the Cardinals. I don't know if I would like the Cardinals on the road in Seattle in December coming off a win, though. So it's a Seahawks injury report that is worth paying attention to throughout the course of the week and is likely to affect the point spread.
Sunday nighter, Teddy, we got Kansas City at the Chicago Bears. Looks like 45 being the total, with the Chiefs laying 4 in the hook or 5, depending where we're shopping here in Soldier Field.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced this line's flying up. I would say, if you see a 4.5, there's not many 4.5s out there. If you find one and you like Kansas City, I would grab it. I don't think you necessarily see that again. But 5, 5.5, these aren't the key numbers that we worry about as much as the 3s and 7s. I can't anticipate that we're going to see a ton of Chicago money this week. KC look headline was 4. My powering number is 5.5. And again, you watched Trubisky yesterday against a good defense. I'm not going to call him hopeless, but it's not pretty when Trubisky faces a good defense. Say, all right, the Chiefs don't have a good defense. Look at Kansas City over the last month, dude. The pass rush is there. That's all I'm going to say. The pass rush is there for Kansas, and when you have a pass rush, it masks a whole lot of other difficulties. Oh, yeah. And they're getting a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and that's not necessarily what Mitch Trubisky backers are wanting to see. So, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this line notches up. Goes up a notch or two. But I got 4.5. That's a jump and buy it now. At 5, you're like, all right, we'll get to it. Yeah. My initial lean on that game is towards Kansas City. I've been very impressed with the Chiefs of late. On the defensive side of the football, we know how good the offense is. KC's got a defense; they'll win the Super Bowl.
Teddy, we got a big Monday nighter here, Green Bay versus Minnesota. First one to remind everyone, the coupon code for the podcast, NFL149. That's NFL149 at checkout for the rest of Teddy Covers' NFL season. It includes the playoffs. It includes the Super Bowl. It includes the Super Bowl prop package. You'll get it all for under $150, just $149, using the coupon code NFL149 at checkout. He's hot right now. Swept yesterday. 80% last 3 days. 71% in December NFL. And, of course, 56% over the last 5 years in the NFL betting markets. Check them out. sportsmemo.com. Rest of the NFL season all the way through the Super Bowl. Coupon code NFL149 at checkout. Teddy, the early look towards the Monday nighter for next week, Green Bay, Minnesota. We're seeing the Vikings 4 or 4.5 at home. 46.5 being the total here, Teddy.
Look ahead line was Minnesota 4.5. My powering line is Minnesota 4.5, and the markets are split between 4 and 4.5. I think. You look at the leading indicator books, and this is probably looking at 4.5. So at 4 right now, if you like Minnesota, wouldn't hurt to get down. The Vikings coming off a game in which they, again, were when you force 7 turnovers, you're going to win in blowout fashion, and they did. Green Bay's defense is a different animal than the Chargers' defense in that regard, and the Packers aren't likely to turn the ball over 7 times in this game. Good game on Monday night, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of under money for this one at 46.5. And I wouldn't be surprised, again, 4, 4.5. It feels like where this number is going to sit all week. It really does. So under, there may be some urgency to bet the under. Sidewise, this is what it is. This game's not going to have a big line move.
All right, Teddy Covers. Check him out on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Guys, each and every Monday throughout football season, this is the NFL opening line report. You can check it out at sportsmemo.com, wherever you're downloading your podcast, and also on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. If you want to watch the video, you can put a face with the voice. Teddy, anything else you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
Hey, man, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day to hang out with Drew and I. It's a fun show to do, and hopefully you get something out of it. So really appreciate it. Thank you. Happy holidays. All that kind of crap,
Happy holidays. Absolutely, Teddy. We're almost there, man. 2 weeks away. So
next week is Christmas.
Oh, yeah, under 10 days. Whoops. Where's the time gone, Teddy? But, man, great pod.
It's week 16.
Yeah, really. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Coupon code NFL149 at checkout for the rest of Teddy Covers NFL season. We will be back talking college basketball. We got the NFL every game on the board. Also, look ahead towards college football on the shelf for the podcast this week. And, of course, next week we'll have Teddy Covers on NFL opening line report. Best of luck with your bets, guys.